Hello everyone, Marion again. Another week on the Stitch Journal. I don't know how the year's going so fast, but I hope you're going to like seeing how pink campion and some feathery greenery and grass is going to come onto the bottom of my stitch page. And that's coming up, and there's a little bit of news right at the end of the video. And I hope you like it and enjoy stitching along. See you at the end. This is the fourth week of working on this page, and I'm not entirely sure that it will be finished today, but I'm intending to lay in some grass, quite a lot of grass, and maybe some really tall flowers there. I've actually picked one from my garden. This is red campion, and I might be putting that in here. Well, not obviously that size though. I think to make it clear for everyone, I'm going to actually put myself in a hoop and put it on my stand, and then I think it'll be clearer than me working in the hand. So I'm going to do that now and come back when I'm set up. I'm hooped up. I'm right on the edge of here, and I could have added a little bit of fabric in, but I don't have much work to do, so I haven't bothered adding some fabric. It's stretched out enough for what I need. And what I've also done is I have gone and taken out of my tangle any bit of suitably grassy coloured thread. So I do have crewel wool here, I've got pearl cottons, and I've got stranded cotton, and it's just a mixture. They're all different lengths, and I'm just going to be pulling out of them as I need. But I've also taken out of my box this lovely pearl cotton, which is hand dyed variegated, which I thought would work very well. And I've also got some of this thicker soft cotton, which is also variegated. Any variegated thread's going to be your friend here when you're trying to do something natural looking. But I've got this bluey green in my needle. It's actually got 4 strands. It's out of my tangle. I'm just going to start at the top here, and I just want to start and get some grasses through here. And I'm going to start off, and the first stitch I'm going to do is feather stitch. And so I don't want anything to be too big. So I'm just going to take a stitch, make sure it's coming up in the loop, and pull the loop, and I'll do another stitch on the same side. So that's actually at the moment just like doing blanket stitch. As I say, this is easily worked in the hand. I just thought it would be a bit clearer if I worked in the hoop for you. And now I'm going to just get them off the way, get them out the way. And now I'm going to work onto the opposite side. I'm going to put my needle in on about the same height as where the thread's coming out. Put my needle in, take a stitch down, and I'm not really going to think too much about it. I quite like a wiggly stem, and maybe I don't want 2 stitches each side, or maybe I do, so I'll do 2 this side at the minute and just let it zigzag across. Lots of grasses are sort of zigzaggy in the way that they grow, and so it always looks really nice to do this type of a thing. I was thinking, could I do it in one, but I'll just do it in two motions. And I'm just going to come straight over the top of anything else I've already done. So I'm coming straight over the top of the cow parsley. And I'm zigzagging each side now. If I want to do a branch out, I can do that. Whoops. I want to pull it right over here a bit. Do 2 on that side. Please, we're not trying to do a total, botanical drawing. Just want a flavour of what, a whole pile of grasses and texture are going to look like. So I'm just going to carry on coming down. I'm going to get this right in at the bottom, and maybe as I get down a bit, maybe I'm just going to end up with, I don't know, a bit of a bit of stem stitch instead. I'm just holding on to my thread and letting it come right down into my where I want everything to start from. But don't worry about stitching over the top of your other stitches. It's just all going to look lovely. And carry on right down. Now you can see I've put this little piece of wool that I did have at the end of last week's video, and I just went and tacked it down, but I've left all of the top edge free. I'll just move you a bit. There. I've left all this top edge free, and that means that at the moment, if I want to, I can get the stems going behind there, like that. But then I can add foreground by just coming up on top of it, and whatever I put on top will help tack it all down. I'm just going to put a couple of long stitches in here. And move along. They are quite long. It's probably is better off that it is in the hoop when you're putting long things on like that. But by taking some long stitches up, it means I can get back up to a certain height, and I'm going to put the same little feather stitch stem that's going to work back down again, straight over the top of everything else I've got there. I do like feather stitch a lot. Oh, I still need the dandelion leaves in. I just remembered because I'm stitching over them. And I'll just finish this piece of thread off by laying some nice straight stitches in to finish. So that's a good start. I'll get the next piece of thread. I think I'll choose this pale crewel wool. I've changed to a crewel needle, so that's a big eye and a sharp point, so I could get the wool through. And I'll start back up here somewhere, and maybe I will just lay in, let's have a think. What about a little fly stitch? On a stalk, and then another little fly stitch on a stalk. That'll make a good grassy looking thing. And then I'll go back up to where that one ended to pull the stem down. Hope you can see how that's working out. So I'll come to this side, a little fly stitch. I'm taking them quite close together, so they're not spread out in a little Y, they're quite a close together little stitch. And I'll put a long stalk aiming for where the main stalk is, and then I'll go back up to where I finished the previous one and just do a big stitch down. That's going to look quite nice. So out to this side, a close done fly stitch, down to where I know the stalk will come to, back up to where the previous stitch finished, and down to complete the stalk. And I'll take this all the way down, and all of a sudden it'll just sort of layer up all this texture. which is, I really do love in an embroidery. I love to see the texture coming. Oh, I think I'm going to run out of this wool. I'll just finish this stitch off and then just leave it, and hopefully whatever I put on front will cover up the fact that it didn't get all the way down to the bottom. Oh, it's gone behind that leaf. Even better. It's coming out from behind another leaf. And maybe I can just get that stitch in there and hide it behind. Look at that, just finished off perfectly. Right, more tapestry wool in my needle. Maybe not take this up quite as far, so I'm going to start into here and let me think. I think another fly stitch, another feather stitch actually. Yeah, I'm going to make it a bit smaller. Going to alternate at each side. I'm going to pull it over a bit. So really the way to do it is just to sort of let your needle do the talking. You don't need to plan it out ahead. You just have to have a sense of, you know, how grass grows and how, just have a look at some photographs, or if you've got a garden, go and have a look to see just how everything wiggles around, and all of a sudden you'll get the idea of just, if the needle comes up and it's not on the straight line of where you thought, just let it come up where it wanted to, and I'm sure it'll be fine. Put that there. It's a bit thick to get through. Going to do it that way. I've got a few layers there now. It's quite thick for the tapestry, for the crewel needle to get through. And I'll just lay that in behind. Just make sure my fabric's tight enough. And then I'm going to lay some straight stitches. Maybe I'm just going to do pairs so I can thicken up each line just that little bit, like that. So I'm going to go down into my grass, going to come up alongside it and go straight back up alongside and just finish short of the tip, and it'll make it look like a blade of grass that's thick at the bottom. And then some smaller ones going in behind. There's something that you can just do and be quite free about where you put the stitches. The more higgledy-piggledy, the nicer it's going to look. And I always try and make all of the stitches onto the front. So if I've come down to the bottom, I don't go back up the top here, because that'll be a long stitch on the back. I just go somewhere along the bottom in a little stitch. And then when I go up again, I'll put this one there. I make a little stitch there, and then that means I can either go onwards or back down. So I'll go there. I'll make a stitch that's going behind, and I'll finish it underneath. It's a nice bright green. I haven't got very much. Let's just put a couple of stitches in. Maybe I'll put some small stitches down the bottom. Just little chain stitches. maybe a little rosette, like a daisy, like the bottom of a daisy. But that's enough. I've used the thread up, added a little bit of extra colour, and that's all I can get out of that one. I'm going to use these pieces of pearl cotton. They're of the same colour. So I'm going to start with a bit of an arching piece of grass that's going to come through here, and I'm thinking of things like ryegrass that have those nice little feathery bits at the end, and so I'm actually going to do a fly stitch, and I'm going to hook it down straight away. I'm going to go back up and do another stitch that's a little bit longer, so it's like a little cluster, and then I'm going to give it a little bit of a stalk, and then start here to do another little cluster. Maybe I can do the middle bit first. That might be better. Middle bit first and back up to do a fly stitch around it. Yes, I like that idea better. And then the fly stitch stalk can just take the stalk down. Okay, so back up to do a nice long stitch, back down to the stem, back up to do a fly stitch that's a little bit shorter than that original stitch. So I've now got a little cluster of 3 stitches all getting attached to a stalk. And then I'm bringing the stalk of the grass down, and here we go, the middle stitch that's long, back up for a shorter fly stitch to make a group of 3. And then the fly stitch stalk takes the stem down. I'm going to do one more of them here, and then the other piece of the cotton, this bit, I'll take the stem down. So I just want the flowers of the grass to be at the top of the stem. Don't need any more of the grass's flower heads there. What I would like is just the stem to be coming on through. I'm going to do quite long stitches. There may be, I don't know, maybe a centimetre. I'm just going to split them as I go down and just take in this curving stem. So I'm going back by about 1 millimetre, and I'm going to curve that stem in, so that's split stitch, and I'm going to curve that right down. It's going to go behind there, behind this leaf, so I just need to come up right underneath there and carry that on, and it's going behind this as well. And then I can take the stem back out, exactly the same. I'm going back 1 millimetre or so to split the stitch. I'm going to curve it out here, and I'm going to find this pearl cotton in my tray and see if I've got it still. If I haven't, I'll use another colour, it won't matter. Put some straight stitches in, just always using up. I'm never finishing my thread off if I can help it without doing something else with it. So now I'll finish it off. I can't exactly find the same one, but I've got this which is similar, a bit of a darker shade, but it is variegated and it is pearl cotton. So I will use that instead, and I'm going to start out here and just do exactly the same thing again. I'll put one more flower on. Okay, I think that's all I need with that. I'll put some straight stitches over the top, put them in behind first. And then I'll do some on front as well. And let the grasses go behind it. And if you want things, you can, there's nothing stopping you sliding your needle underneath the stem, so you can carry on the stitch going where you want it to be. So I'm putting in behind there. And then putting some on the front as well. Okay, I'm going to just take it out of the hoop a bit so I can just see where everything is, because I need to see the whole thing to actually understand where my stitches need to go. Let's just take it out and have a look. Okay, well it's definitely making a good difference. I think I'll work on the other side a bit so that I can keep it all coming up together. I don't want to finish this to such a degree that it's unbalanced. So I'm back in the hoop for the other side. Back up again. So on here I'd actually like to have some tall grass and actually a tall wildflower, and I think I am going to put Campion in there, so I need pink. So I picked that out as a suitable colour. It's not quite right, but I think I'm going with it. I was a bit hesitant to put pink on my lovely blue and yellow landscape, but it's fine. It's a flower. It's going to look great. So that's the pink I'll go for, but I would need to lay in the stems first so that I know where the flowers are going to be. I got this really dark brown out of my tangle because the Campion stems are nearly always like a reddish brown, and there wasn't just enough, it was too brown, and so I'm using a single strand of this reddish brown colour and I've added it to this dark brown. So I now have 3 strands in my needle, 2 of the dark brown and 1 of the red brown. So I'm going to start at the bottom, just going to come out of where the leaves are here. I'm not, there'll be more stuff on here, so I'm not bothered about taking it right down. And I think I'm going to stem stitch. I'm just going to start and take a stem up. So I'm just going forward by the same amount that I'm going backwards, so it's almost like blank back stitch, but you've got the back stitch on the bottom of your work instead of on the top. I'm going to get up to there and decide that's where I need my first flower to be. So if I go out on an angle and then maybe 2 little flower stalks, and then off to the side with a big stitch, and then again 2 flower stalks. And if it's helpful usually to look at a picture of the plant you're trying to create, just look up a photo online. I've got my flower book here, and I've also got some actual flower. I'm going to carry on going up. I'm going to bring the flower over this way, put a little stalk, and then another little stalk, and then maybe a fly stitch to finish. I'll rethread. I'll finish that off. I'll just get some more thread and I'll finish the little branching stems in. I've got more of the branches in, and I've now put that variegated pearl cotton in my needle, that one. I'm just going to get some leaves in. So at the top, they're so small, I'm actually just going to put them in as a couple of straight stitches either side of the joint of the where the stalk branches. I'll just do a couple of stitches each side. Like that. One's a bit shorter than another, just so preserve the point and don't make them look too thick. I'm going to work down, and everywhere that I think a leaf should go, like here, I'll do that again. Just all of a sudden we get a little plant arriving. And I'll do the same here. So every little joint, I'll just put one stitch in each side here. And here I'm going to do them a bit bigger, so I'm actually going to do a chain stitch. I'll go out at about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, loop around and put the little point on. Yep, I'll do the same this side. Back down where the threads come out, choose what direction my leaf needs to be, up through the loop, put a little point out, and that'll make it look like a pointy leaf. I can do that here, just with a straight stitch. And again with a straight stitch. And I'll even do a couple there, just straight stitches again. I feel as if I can hear a knot, but I can't feel one. And back down to here, detached chain, and another on the other side because they come paired. And then do some nice biggish ones here. My colour's changed. Campion doesn't really have peachy coloured leaves, but I'm not going to bother. It's all just going to work in. And I think I'll do another stitch beside that to just thicken this leaf up. So I'm going to do another small chain stitch beside it, which will just make it still look like one leaf, but it'll thicken it up. And you see how that's made a nice leaf there. I'll do that on this side. I'll do one large chain stitch, do it right over here. Make sure I'm doing a little point on. I'm not going straight down on the loop. I'm leaving a couple of millimeters so I get a point, and then back down to the bottom and do a smaller chain stitch alongside. It'll still look like one leaf. or maybe I'm going half the distance, but laying it exactly alongside like that, and then I can put that point, I can aim it into the top, and there I've got a nice wider looking leaf. And then I think I'll do some of them here. I'm going to need more thread. I'm quite enjoying these leaves now I'm doing them. A big long chain with a point, back down to where you started, and a chain half the length. That's a nice way to do a leaf actually. I'm going to finish that thread off, and I'll get another piece of thread in my needle because I'm actually running out there. I'll just put one nice straight stitch in under here to finish that thread off, like that. And I'm just going to put the extra few leaves on there, and I'll come back to do the flowers. As you can see, I've put my other branch in, and I've started sprinkling the pink stitches through for the Campion. I'm just using this pink. In fact, it's the last piece of thread I've got. I didn't actually have very much of it, so if I use it up, I use it up. And I thought that the easiest way seemed to me to be starting off with a fly stitch, and that's what I'm going to do, because the Campions are little 5-petaled flowers, and we're not going for botanical illustration here, we're just going for the feel of the flower. And so if I make a little fly stitch there, like that, and make the tail of the fly stitch equal to the 2 arms there, so I get a little triangle shape, little Y, I can just come back up and sort of go in the middle of the 2 pieces and put the 4th and the 5th stitches on, and all of a sudden I've got a little pretty flower that you can see is a little 5-petaled flower. And it is as simple as that. Now some of them don't even need to have all 5 petals on. I'll come up and do the next one, because you can't see them all the time, and we're just looking for the feel of the flower, because of the way the branches are and the way the leaves have been put on, and now these little petals sticking out. Anybody who looks at your embroidery, it's going to know that that's a pink Campion, because everything about it says it's a Campion. So even though it's not realistic in one sense, the whole point is that it's going to evoke a Campion shape. And so you can put them on associated with each of your branches, or you can just sprinkle them about, which is what I've started to do there. But I'm starting off every one with the little fly stitch, and then put in those extra 2 stitches across, like that. And I think that's going to look super pretty. I'll come down here, I'll just put 4 petals on this one, just see what it looks like. I'm coming up in the loop, catch the loop down to make the Y, and just put 1 extra petal on, just for the heck of it. That's perfectly nice. So I'm going to finish off sprinkling these little pink flowers about. I'm actually going to put a little few. I need to keep enough thread. I've got 1 more piece here. That's all I've got left of this pink. I'm going to keep that bit and sprinkle a few on the other side of my embroidery, just to balance the design up, so there'll be a few going onto here. I actually wanted to do the dandelion leaves. I hope I've got time in this. Otherwise, it might have to go on to next week, which is fine. Okay, I'm going to put extra stitch. I'm going to make that into a little 5-petal one. So a few more sprinkles, maybe one down here, and then on the other side, and then I'll see where I'm at. Well, this is how I'm leaving it this week. I don't think there's any time to do the rest of it, not quite anyway. So I'm leaving it with the campions and the starts of the grassy bits and the bed straws that are going through. And next week I'll finish it off with the leaves and some of the little sprinklings of maybe white and blue flowers going through. So that's it for now. It's looking pretty though. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of stitching there. I feel like I haven't done that much today, but it was a bit of fiddly work, and so I'm really pleased with the way the campion's looking here, and I'm all set up just to finish off the foreground, the dandelion leaves, and a bit of sprinkling through. I'm thinking like little starry white flowers like bed straws and things like that. So that'll be a finish for next week. And in other news, I have arranged, some of you might have seen or might have not, but I'm going to do my second ever live stream on Saturday. So I hope you'll join me. I've made it a little bit later than I did the other one, so 8 p.m. British Summer Time, so that's GMT +1. And I look forward to seeing you there, and send me any sewing related questions, things like that, sewing clothes or embroidery, you know, anything to do with what I do. Yeah, put them in the comment section of the community post, because I've posted a little announcement about the live stream, and you can put your questions in there, and then I will be able to collate them beforehand and have something prepared. I'm hoping I can manage to do it. So I've got one under my belt, so I sort of know how it all works, which I didn't before. I only need to find out now how to slow the comments down a bit so I can actually manage to read them. So I shall try that, and hopefully I just get better as I do more of them. So I'm looking forward to that. So that'll be Saturday, and yes, there's still a video going to come on Sunday, and it's one that you can interact with. So I hope that you enjoy that. And in the meantime, I'm just going to say thank you for visiting me here, and I look forward to seeing you next time, which will be on Saturday. And tea and cake. Bye everyone, and thank you for everything. You know, thank you. Bye.